Greetings.
Hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Hello. I can't. No. Nobody.
Yeah, I hear you, Quisha.
Okay.
You hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Hi, Theta.
Hey.
Yes, I see that.
Hi. Awesome. So, I am recording this just so that you can know and remember, and the reason why I'm saying that is because when we're sharing information about our circumstances, we don't want to find ourselves in some kind of legal situation because we mentioned someone's name that's maybe they're not, maybe they don't have anything to do with the case, and we think that they have something to do with the case, or maybe we know that they have something to do with the case and justice hasn't transpired yet, and people can try to do whatever they want. People can try to do whatever anyway. But I just want to make sure that you are aware and that you can speak about your cases the way you see fit, but just taking into consideration the things that could happen depending on what you choose to share. I do plan to do interviews of particular cases, those people who want to share their stories so that the world will know what's really transpiring in our lives. So let me see, I think someone else is in the waiting room. Okay, I don't see them yet. But just so that you all can help me with this, since this is my first time doing a live and initiated it myself. Okay, there they are.
Okay.
Let that one person in. I think it may be Regina. But I just ask, like, if you're not speaking, that you, greetings, Florence, hey. If you're not speaking, to just mute yourselves, or if you have something going on in the background, and I may have to mute myself because I'm trying to support a friend of mine. His name is DT, and he has some children, some males that are outside cutting the lawn right now. So I feel like, how can we train people up in the way that they should go if we don't give them the chance to be responsible and to do something? So he has the boys outside cutting the grass. So if it gets loud and I forget, tell me to mute myself. But I see Lynn's connecting now. And basically, I set this up from 1 to 2:30 because sometimes when we're in situations like we find ourselves, it's hard for us to get out everything that we have to say. And that's another reason why I want to start interviewing particular people and their families so that they can have as much time as they need to share what they want to share. So the purpose of today's support group meeting is to encourage each other and to help each other learn how to live in spite of our circumstances. So to start, what I'd like for us to do is to, I would say, go around the table, but we're not at tables. But we're just to introduce yourselves. Hey, Paul, I see your pretty face now. I'm so happy to see you. But if you want to, and you know how to, because I don't want you to disappear because I'm trying to teach you how to do something that I don't know how to do. But you may want to like put your name and then maybe the name of your missing loved one, if you know how to do that. You could do it in the future, or you could throw that in the chat also. Down below, if you bring your cursor down to the bottom of the screen, you'll see in the far left, if you're facing your computer, you'll probably see the microphone. So you have options with your mic. You can show yourself or choose not to show yourself. They also have a participants button that's letting me know how many people are on the call, and share screen option, pause or record. Then there's a reaction button. For example, if I wanted to applaud somebody, I don't know if you see the little hand at the top of the left side of my face. I'm trying to remember my positions. But, or if I wanted to say I agree with that, I could put the thumbs up. That's a reaction. For example, if I say, I think you have to let it go away in its own timing. Oh, okay, it timed out. So if I said, if you have a missing loved one, raise your thumb or put a thumb up if you have a missing loved one in your family. I just do something like that. There are polling options, but I'm still learning how to do everything I need to do with this. So we'll learn as we go. But again, I'm Theta Person. I'm the president and founder of Looking for an Angel. Looking for an Angel increases awareness of missing persons. There are over 400 missing children and over 600 missing adults in the state of Missouri. So over 1,000 people are missing from the state of Missouri. And through Looking for an Angel, we're doing all that we can come up with, all we can think of, all we can dream of to increase awareness of missing persons. My missing loved one is Christian Ferguson. On June 11, 2003, Christian went missing. And we're just trying to find out where his whereabouts are. There's a lot that you can Google about the situation, but I'll have someone interview me, or you can check out some of the interviews that are already out there done by the local media stations. That's another reason why I would like to, let me see, there's one person trying to get back in. That's one reason why I want to start interviewing people, is to help them get the attention that I received. Everybody does not get the same amount of attention. A lot of times we see them talking about Caucasian cases, but not a lot of African American cases, or maybe there's another, culture or nationality that's not being covered, and we want to make sure that those things transpire. So if I can call you out, if that's okay, then you can introduce who you are and make sure that we are aware of your missing loved one's name, and just tell a little bit about your situation. Try not to go more than 2 minutes, I guess, at this point in time, till we do that real live interview where we can just sit there as long as we have to. But Paula, can you share about your circumstance? And don't forget to unmute yourself.
Okay, you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm getting used to this Zoom thing, but my name is Paula Field, and I am the mother of Shamika Cozy. She's been missing from Berkeley for 11 years, be 12 years, December the 29th of this year. And she went to a cousin's house and never came home. So it's been 11 years, 11 hard years.
My goodness. Okay, Marquisha, did you want to can you introduce yourself, please? And your missing loved one.
Hello, I am Marquisha Cozy, Shamika Cozy's big sister. I am a patient of MS, multiple sclerosis, and I have thyroid disease because of this. It's been 11 years too long. I'm just ready to find her.
Thank you for sharing what you have, because a lot of people are unaware of how tragedies can impact our lives, and mentioning what you have just, it's rocking me on the inside right now, because sometimes we don't know how bad things can hurt us until a tragedy. I mean, I think I just said that, but I'm still like just thinking about that. And I appreciate the fact that you're sharing that, because people who will see this, if we agree to make it go live or public, they need to know that we are losing our own lives because of our missing loved ones. So thank you and welcome. And don't forget that you can use the chat button to post things, like if there's something that's on your mind and you feel like, okay, well, we passed that, but I want to go back to that, just enter in whatever you need to enter in. But Florence, I see Florence on here. If you can introduce yourself and also share the name of your missing loved one. It just went back off. Can you hear us, Florence? Oh, you're still on mute. Okay. At first it was showing that you were connecting and then it went back to mute. I could see it trying to connect on my side. But I'll go ahead and go to Lynn and come back to Florence. And Lynn, if you can unmute yourself and just share who your missing loved one is.
Hey, so my
Great.
name is Lynn Ferguson. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Lynn. Oh, and by the way, I don't know if it was you, if she was you, Florence, cousin Flo, who was asking about not being able to hear. But I don't know if this will help. It's hard to explain it because this app is different. But if you push the screen, if you're on your phone, if you press the middle of the screen or anywhere, like, you know, if you scroll over to where you can see yourself and then you press the screen, it'll pull up some options on the bottom of the screen. And then you can click start video. Oh, well, that's just for video. If you scroll all the way to the,
I
guess,
think I have it.
Can
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfectly.
Thanks, Liz.
And thank you. See, that's why we need the young people in our lives. I mean,
Exactly.
it reminds me of.
Hello, everyone.
Go ahead.
Hello.
Hey.
So Lynn, did you want to wait until Florence introduces herself and then we come back to you? Okay, thank you so much. Florence, you can introduce yourself and your loved one.
Hello, everyone. My name is Florence Collins. I am Theda's first cousin. My missing person is Christian Ferguson, and I am here to support my cousin and everyone, support everyone, actually.
Thank you so much.
And
you can go ahead.
Thanks for inviting me in, guys.
Thank you.
And the chicken back there.
Okay, Lynn, you want to introduce yourself and your missing loved one?
And it's $8.99. So get that.
And I can hear someone, I think it may be, yes, if you're speaking in the background, if you could just be sure to mute yourself so that whatever's private will remain private, I guess, if it's private. Thank you. But we'll come back to you as soon as Lynn introduces herself.
Yeah, so my name is Lynn Ferguson. My older brother is Christian Ferguson, and our birthdays are coming up.
Yes.
So it's definitely that time of the year. I don't know. I mean, there are several times of the year because we have the memorial, and then of course, you know, this never goes away, you know, so it's really a continuous battle. But and by battle, I mean, you know, just dealing with the fact that, you know, you don't really know. You don't know what happened. And even if you do know what happened, you know, it's not to any avail. You don't have, whatever your situation, you don't have, you know, the person you feel like should be there. It's really unfortunate because, you know, I've put a lot of things out of my head that unknowingly, so that I can deal with life. So, you know, I don't really think that it's emotionally registered completely the way that it should, or the way that it could, that, you know, he's gone and what that means and everything. But it's pretty unfortunate because sometimes I think about, like, I was just thinking about it last night. I think about where would he be? What would he be doing? How would he be, you know, what kind of siblings we'd be at this point, because we always seem close and everything. So, you know, it's a lot. But I guess the way that I deal with it is as Miss Cozy and my mom and several others know, my cousin Flo, know, I do the music and everything, and it's very therapeutic. I've actually made a few songs about my personal, therapeutic things that I've worked through in life, and I'm looking forward to revising a song I made about my brother when I was younger. So.
And thank you for all of that. We're going to get deeper into some of those things that Lynn just mentioned. I want to give some time for Sheila to introduce herself. She recently joined us. Sheila, can you unmute yourself and introduce us to you and your missing loved one?
Yes, my name is Sheila Wilson, and I am the brother of Sam Armstrong. My brother Sam been missing since 2015, February of 28. He's still missing, and right now I'm having difficulty communicating with the police because they're not doing anything to find my brother. I have done any and everything in my power to submit them whatever they needed. And it's like, I guess I'm kind of emotional right now, but I guess by the color of his skin, they seems to not want to find all the blacks that's out here that's missing, even the children. So that's where I am with this case right now. I'm ready to look further with this because I have given them a lot of chances and they have really let me down. Um, I talked to the detective and explained my grief, showed my grief, and it's like he said he'll call me back, and I haven't heard anything from him.
My goodness. And I'm glad that you brought that up. And that's one reason why I wanted to start doing the support group meetings via Zoom, because that way we can not only just introduce our missing loved ones and ourselves to each other and help each other to know that we're not the only ones going through this, but we can also hold the system accountable. You mentioning that the police still have not contacted you. I guess if you can react to this, if you made a police report and you had no problems doing so, could you put a thumbs up? Okay. If you, okay, so she made it. Thank you, Sheila. Thank you. If you receive phone calls from the police concerning your missing loved one, can you put a thumbs up? Okay. So Sheila, since you do have your thumb up on that question, can you let us know what you did to make it possible for you to receive those phone calls and how often law enforcement is calling you back? And your palm is up on your screen too. I don't know if you want it to remain there. Just
No, I need to take
okay.
it out.
Okay.
Well, they, it's like when he first became missing, it's like they slow drag. But first, I went to God first because I didn't know what really probably took place, and He showed and led me to the way where I need to go. And also, my family is also trying to do our own. Like I told the police at the beginning, I'll be doing my own investigation. I'm not waiting on them to do anything but to help me find them. But they've been slow dragging. Everything that they say they're going to do, they really haven't done it. And when I come back with them, when I have meetings with them, they they give me these excuses. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't trust the detective that I'm working with because he has let me down so many times. And why do I have to keep calling them? They should be calling me. And
Yes.
every 3 months, I told them that I wanted to have a meeting with them just to keep updated what's going on. I give them their chances, an opportunity to do what they have to do, but they steady letting me down. Now, when the corona hit, that was my last conversation with the detective. He told me he had some information about my brother, and once this corona crap get over, he was gonna reach out to me. It's gonna be October.
So before
I
COVID,
wrote them a letter. I wrote them a letter a month and a half to the chief and let them know that.
I'm sorry, you went mute, Sheila. Can you unmute yourself, please? Thank you.
And they have not returned my call.
Okay, can I ask you a question? How often were they calling you before COVID-19? And I know what's going on right now, but can you just give us an idea? Because some of us,
Hardly rare.
okay. So would you say once a month, once a week, once a year? How often would you say?
I say once every a few months. If it wouldn't be me calling, but I had explained to them that every 3 months I would like to have this, meeting with them. But I understand, and I explained to them, I understand due to the corona that, you know, that everything was on hold right now. But I told him as soon as this does, he said as soon as this does, they'll reach out. But they didn't. I'm calling them, leaving messages. Nobody called me. I'm calling the mayor, I'm calling the chief, and I'm calling the detective. No one has called me back since March until Sunday. And I wrote a letter a month and a half ago to the chief, and the detective just not calling me on Monday.
And are you sending emails to them, or how are you communicating with the police?
Well, basically, I try to reach by phone, and then if not, I would, first I go through the steps. I go through the detective first, and then I go through the detective first, then I go through the chief, and then the mayor. I was leaving messages for all three of them, and I still didn't get no calls, no nothing.
Please be encouraged. We're going to come back to that information. But if a police officer were listening to this call, or a law enforcement agency, well, whether they like what they hear or not, this is good information for them to hear so that they can know what they need to work on. Because we do need law enforcement if we have law enforcement, but we need them to do the job. We don't need law enforcement neglecting to do their duties, because neglecting to do duties keeps us where we are. Paula, if it's okay, can you share your experience with law enforcement? And then we can follow up with Marquisha sharing her experience, maybe even what she's seen you go through as far as connecting with law enforcement is concerned.
Well, I just want to say to her to continue to stay on them, continue to be the one to call them. Unfortunately, we need them.
Mm.
So I understand that they're not calling you, they're not listening, but you continue to reach out. You continue to say you want these meetings, and you continue to go up there and let them know you have not forgotten. I have been this 11 years. I went in a state of depression after my daughter went missing. I was confused a whole lot after coming from the police department. Actually, when we made the report, everyone that was in the house came with me to the police department. They had us in a round table, and it was the sheriff and the chief of police and other police in there with us. They talked to everyone. They interrogated everyone. I do expect for them to look at us first. I do. But at the same time, they asked for her so-called boyfriend. She was 16 at the time, so I didn't feel like she was having a boyfriend. So I called her. Her so-called boyfriend came up to the police department, and he told them a whole lot of negative things about her. They walked back in the room. Well, did you know your daughter was smoking weed? Did you know your daughter was doing this? No, I didn't know if she was doing all that. But at the same time, are you gonna look for her? Oh, well, she's gone with some man or somebody. She'll be home for school. It's over Christmas holiday. It's December the 28th. Okay, so well, we left that department totally confused. We didn't know if we should take it as if she'll run away and she gone with somebody. But knowing she never did it before, it didn't sound right at all. So we called people, made up homemade flyers. We called people. You see Mika, why Mika? Asking everybody we could, trying to find out where she was. So finally, on December the 30th, they made actually a police report. So the police report said December the 30th. So that's basically the last time I really dealt with the police because
I'm sorry, maybe okay, so the date that she really went missing was what day?
it was December the 29th was the day we searched for her.
Okay.
And the family, where they felt like she just ran away.
Okay, but so the last time that someone saw her was on the 29th of December?
They seen her on December the 28th.
Okay.
At approximately 1.
You went mute. They saw her on December 28th at approximately.
Okay, well, if it's 1, okay, I take that back. If it's 1:30 a.m., so that is December the 29th.
Okay. And then what you said after that was December 30th was the day that law enforcement spoke with you, and you haven't heard from law enforcement since that time?
We don't have a communication.
Okay.
I have went back up there with information that I feel like they should have did something with. I don't feel like they did what they should have done with the information. So it made me disconnect from them. But at the same time, I do need them to find out things that I cannot find out. So yes, we do have to keep contact with them.
And see, I'm glad that you shared what you have shared. I appreciate everybody sharing what they have shared, but this is another reason why we have to do a one-on-one with the families of the missing so that we can hear the details of the situations, because I mean, just listening, I'm like, wait a minute. I have so many questions right now, and I know we have other people that have to share about their experiences since we're trying to help each other to live in spite of our circumstances. So don't forget, you can type in the chat box that you do want to be interviewed. If you haven't, I think everybody on this call pretty much has let me know that they're willing to do an interview. And I also appreciate the fact that it's not only the mother or the father of the missing loved one. We have the siblings. We also have relatives of the loved one that's missing. So, because when a person goes missing, it affects everybody. It affects the community. So even I plan on going to the community to find out, how did the Christian Ferguson case affect you, or how did Samuel's case affect your community? How did Shamika Kosey's case affect Berkeley or the world? But Marquisha, if you could share information, like what do you have to say about the police and how they work your case?
Well, at the time, I was living in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and I don't feel like they handled it well. Like, they handled it as a runaway. And I knew for a fact my sister wasn't going to run away. And if I was there, I would have looked. I wouldn't have just sat there and, oh, she ran away. I would have looked. I would have looked for my sister, any kind of clue, any phone call, anything. Like, I would have did the investigation myself, since the police didn't do their job. So, I mean, I'm back in Tennessee at the moment. I just can't live in St. Louis. It's mentally messing me up and stressful. So I'm here. I have a family here. Like, I'm happy and I'm not depressed. Like, I can think about it and cry, but I can't stress myself. I'm killing myself. Like, that's all I can say. They didn't do their job, and I wish I was there.
Can I ask you a question about something you mentioned? And I thank you so much for sharing your experience. And I look forward to speaking to you even more about Shamika's disappearance in the future. But you mentioned that you would do all that you could, even though she was considered to them, law enforcement that is, to be a runaway. What do you think, or if you can explain to us how they handle runaway cases, or how you think they handle runaway cases, and what you think they should have done?
Runaway cases, I believe they just accept the fact that they might have run away and not look for any kind of evidence on them actually being a runaway. Like, there was no evidence of that. Everything was in the house still. The door was cracked. Like, it was careless to me the way they handled it as a runaway.
I'm sorry. And if you do get emotional, when anybody that is, if you're telling your story and you need to, if you're okay with crying, if this goes to law enforcement, they can see what this is doing to us. But if you do feel like you have to close down your camera, you can just hover over to the area near the mute button. From my side, it's near the mute button, to click on stop video, and I guess whatever icon you have on there will show up, or your name will show up. But I really do appreciate this. As we're speaking, I'm thinking about how deep this is and the changes that will have to take place if this goes public. If we all agree to put this on the Christian Ferguson Looking for an Angel YouTube channel that has been created, or if it's shared to Chandrea's page, or wherever we want to share this, because I think it's definitely imperative that law enforcement, schools, everybody that's affected by our cases, everybody should know about this. So I'm going to come back to you, Marquisha, but thank you so much for the details. And I'll move over to Lynn, if you can just tell me, I see you looking and thinking, and I could just imagine what you're feeling since you're my baby. But if you can tell me your experience, or you could share what you've seen as far as the police or law enforcement is concerned, and what do you think law enforcement really should be doing?
Can you
Lynn?
hear me?
Yes.
So, well, I'll speak on my situation first, but I did have some comments. Should I save the comments for or on what other people have said for later?
You can put them in the chat if you have questions. Just be careful about what you're saying, because sometimes things could be taken out. And not saying that I'm saying this for everybody, because sometimes we may think we're being as gentle as possible, and then somebody's crying on the inside. But if it's okay, just and you want to share that, you can go ahead and send it to me privately if you think it's going to be touching, if you think you have a tip, or if you are okay with sharing it with everyone. I say share.
It was just a comment. It was just a comment. I appreciate your us making that platform or that cushion for it, but it was just a comment, agreeing with a lot of people's points, and
Okay, go ahead and then
like,
transition to your experience, if that's okay.
One more time. I'm so sorry, Mom. What did you say?
Okay, I was saying that you can go ahead and make your comment, and then transition to how law enforcement has worked your sibling's case, your brother's case.
Well, I mean, I just wanted to comment on what people were saying about the police and runaways. And like, I'm pretty sure runaways make up a nice amount of percentage of people whom are missing, for a longer than just a runaway period, I guess, whatever they're considering that. They'll be home by whenever. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. I think that they should treat every single case of a child missing exactly the same. this is a child who is missing, and even a person who's missing, but especially a child who is missing. You know, you are not supposed to be, you know, missing from your parents. So that is definitely a big thing, or from your home. That's a big thing. And I'm so sorry that, you know, people have gone through what they've gone through, and that this has been taken as lightly as in some cases it's been perceived to have been taken. Like, it's just unfortunate. But I was a child when you know, I spoke to the police the day after my brother technically went missing. Technically, it was the same day. And I just remember, like, you know, any interaction I've had with the police, you know, has been just like, you know, at least back then it was very, you know, it didn't seem to be to any avail. It didn't seem that, you know, a person who was there who witnessed so much, you know, it makes me wonder why it took so long for certain things to happen and things like that. And it's like, you know, I just wish, you know, I know my situation was a little different because I was a young child at that point, but, you know, I still was a witness to certain things that happened. So I feel like, you know, it should have been taken worth more than a grain of salt. And yeah, I don't know. That just kind of leads into that point I was discussing about police, you know, believing what people are saying and believing that they know about their loved one and that they know that this is not right, or, you know, that something needs to be done.
Thank you so much. Florence, you mind sharing? Yeah, and also, like, if you've not had a personal interaction, but you've seen interactions or you heard about the interaction, if you want to speak from that perspective, you can do that too. I don't like boxes. So, and I don't want to put people in boxes. So, I mean, I want to have some kind of control as far as to make sure we flow the way that we want to according to the topic. But at the same time, I don't want to put a person in a box and say, okay, well, you can't say this or anything, because it may be just a thing that we need to transition us into an area that we need to discuss. But if you can share your experience with your missing loved one and the relationship with the police.
Okay. My I'm Florence Collins, Theta person's cousin, and I would say my personal experience is with the police
Well,
is seeing my, well, go ahead.
oh yeah,
It's not my personal experience with the police, but what I've seen you go through and how proactive you had to be to get answers. It's, you know, and what if some people are not like that? Like, if I were in your exact position, I don't know that I would be able to do that. You know, if I would be in a mind frame to do that, or emotionally be, you know, able to be proactive and just go after and looking up statutes, and you were pretty much had to be your own attorney and, you know, spokesperson for Christian. And it seemed like it should be the other way around, where the police should be more active or more concerned or take action sooner than, like in your case, what they did. I feel like they should have done that years ago. I mean, because all the evidence was there. So for me, it was just saying you have to be so proactive as far as going, constantly going to them, you know, saying, look at this, look at this, look at this evidence. This is what I have. Did you do this? Did you check on that? Have you heard anything? You know, just like years of doing that. And it seemed like they're twiddling their thumbs like, oh, yeah. Oh, well, yeah, we got this, but we can't talk about it. Oh, yeah, well, we'll get back to you. You know, that kind of stuff is sad. And as a loved one, you know, to me, of you feeling like you just want, I always want you to have closure. We want, as a family, to have closure. In our case of not knowing where his body is. And it seemed like if you don't keep keep the story alive and keep it out there, then the police would fade off if you didn't do anything. So, you know, you have to be your own advocate, seems like, because if you let it go, it seems like they may let it go. I don't know if I'm
You did a great job.
addressing everything.
You addressed a lot in saying that, and to me it's just imperative that we understand, like I said, how this is impacting the loved ones, because it's hard. It was hard for me when, you know, people in the community and my loved ones came to me asking me, well, what did the police say? And when the police are saying nothing, you know, when, I mean, and maybe they're saying something now, or maybe they said something, but what about when they say nothing? You know, when you're calling them and they don't answer the phone, or you hear the same message, or you're calling them and the same person, it's only one person representing the department, for example, and that one person is always out of town or something like that. That is really hard. And when since I'm in a position of being able to help other people and hear their circumstances, when I keep hearing the same thing over and over, I'm like, okay, it's been 17 years. And in this 17-year period, I'm hearing the same people say the same thing about the same one person that's representing the same office, and no changes are being done. And that's another reason why I want to do this, to hold these people accountable, because, you know, if they put another person in that position and they're still doing the same thing, that's a problem too. But we really need people to be active and support those with missing loved ones. Dr. Reverend Marjorie Williams Cooper, if you can share your experience or what you've heard, the experiences to be as it relates to law enforcement's involved with the missing person case in your family.
Okay. And I guess I'm Theta's aunt, and I'm Christian Ferguson's grand aunt, and I'm Sandra Wilson's sister. And as far as what police, is a well-known fact that they don't pay too much attention to missing persons who are African American, well, culture, I say, because there's no such thing as race. I teach college, I teach anthropology, and I'm always saying there is no such thing. But race is not a biological fact, but missing people are not biological facts, but they are facts. And as far as as the police are concerned, well, I guess, we would have to really go beyond, like you all are doing, and like Theta has done all those long, long years of going beyond the police to seek help, to search other ways and for missing loved ones. And should I say something else, or is that all? Because it's really not too much the police are going to do, and we all know it. And I can see it from what you all are telling me. But we have other resources. Police, they do what they do, but they're not the beginning or the end of the search. And I think one of the that we don't understand is that when people are missing, they want to return. And I've had the experience of missing people telling me that they've come and they've said, I'm missing. I'm trying to get to my loved one, or help me. And they come that way, and because that there is just a veil between this dimension and that dimension where they are. Time does not. Time is really not time like we know it. And this world that we live in is really not as like hard. There's not like a big barrier between the missing and those of us who are waiting for their return. But we just need to know how to get there. And we need to know also that they can reach us probably better than we can reach them, because we have been taught in our lives, in our religious experiences even, that there is no such thing as reaching beyond the veil to the missing, and they're reaching us. But there's a scripture, if I can share it. Can I share it?
Yes, and can you also share the communication means that you're referring to? Because a lot of us, what we've been sharing about is what we've heard or what we've seen as far as law enforcement is concerned, the way law enforcement interacted with a loved one or the mother or the father of a missing loved one. But it sounds like the form of communication that you're referring to is not just a one-on-one communication, but you're hearing from those missing people through a certain means of communication. Like, are you saying, for example, that you've seen these missing loved ones physical or in the way that we would think of seeing them? Like, I can go next door and see my child sitting in the room? Or are you saying that this is a spiritual communication? I'm just trying to make sure that we understand the mode of the communication that you're referring to.
Okay. It's a spiritual communication, and it seems to be even more meaningful than seeing a person in a room. It's the kind of thing you don't forget. It so jars you. For instance, I went to South Carolina some years ago. When I first came here. I'm in New Jersey, you all. I went to South Carolina. I thought I was going to marry a guy. I had met him when we were both coming from, where we come from. I think I was coming from Denver here. We were on the bus. We did a lot of conversing. I was really silly. I really was. And I learned a lot through that experience, but I think I know that it was purposeful, and that I was to meet him, and that I was to have that particular experience. And some of you might have some experiences too that you think were just really stupid, but everything matters. Those experiences are not stupid. They're God's way of putting you on course. And so we talked for a long time, a few months, and all. I got a job where he was, and it was in South Carolina. And I got a job teaching. I teach college, and it wasn't college, it was tutoring. But I didn't have a place to stay, and we were talking about getting married, which was really good for me. I needed a husband, I thought. And so he invited me to come down there because we were getting married. I talked with his mother. She was a teacher as well. And I talked with her and stuff. And so we planned. I went down there, in fact, and she picked me up. The mother picked me up from the bus station, took me to his place. He stayed in a trailer in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of nowhere. And I don't know if you've ever been to South Carolina. Was not my first time being there. It is difficult. And it's a culture shock for somebody coming from St. Louis. I lived in St. Louis 29 years, and also from New Jersey. But I went, and he and I did not get along really in that trailer. We had lots of arguments, and he was, I saw that he had lots of medication on his shelf, over the refrigerator. There was really something that was wrong with him psychologically. And I was there in that space. But God got me out, but God showed me something too, and showed me why I was there. When the last day I was there, I was only there for about 3 days or something. My daughter knew I was there. This is before cell phones were what they were, and what they are now. It was during Katrina, in fact. And I got up, and I had packed my things, and my daughter had called and asked me, because she could feel I was in a situation that I needed help out of, that I was in a dangerous situation. She asked me, did I need her to get me a bus ticket out of there? And I told her yes. And I didn't know how I was going to get to the bus station, because there was only one, what was that thing? It was a taxi cab that could come, and there were 4 counties. I just didn't know what to do, but God helped me. But I was in the bathroom. He had said that he was a plumber, but the bathroom had a fork on the faucet. You had to, on the faucet, everything was creepy and all that stuff, creaky. There was a wooden door. It was like being in a closet and all. But there was a tub, and across from the tub, there was a medicine cabinet. And it was hot, it was 85 degrees still, and it was in the fall, the late fall, but hot in South Carolina. And had steamed up everything. On the medicine cabinet, written backwards, were the words, "Help me," with a great big exclamation point behind them, behind that, "Help me." And I knew there was somebody on the other in the bedroom. That bedroom was right near the bedroom. He couldn't stand to be in there because he said there was a spirit there. And this person, spirit. And when I came out of the bathroom, I didn't tell him what happened. I had just gotten finished packing my stuff, set things outside the door. And some other things about the situation let me know that he had never told the truth. He had a dog, a couple of dogs there, a German Shepherd and a little Schnauzer. But anyhow, that was significant. But I did leave. But I called the Lord helped me, called the right taxi cab service to come and get me. He cried and he begged me to stay there. And he did all the kinds of things. He fixed me a beautiful meal that he could cook. But I left. And when I got on the bus and was outside of South Carolina, I called back and I asked him, who was that? And he didn't say anything. But I didn't say anything for years because he knew my address. And he knew my daughters and my grandkids, where we lived. And I'm debating now what should I do. But I looked up and I found out a woman, an older woman. He liked older women. I was 10 years older than him. He liked older women. An older woman who lived near there had gone missing. And she had a Schnauzer, a German Shepherd, and three other dogs that belonged to her that she always took with her as she walked every morning. She walked them every morning. And that a Schnauzer and that German Shepherd, there was those two dogs tied to an old, dilapidated van that he said that I could use to take myself to work. He didn't run. He had plans for me, but his plans weren't fulfilled. But I know, I looked up, her name is Inez. I think it's Inez Smith. I forgot her last name right now. She was missing from that place. And I believe that she is buried under the foundation of that house, of that trailer. And she's one of the people. And then other people come. And people I don't know the name of, such as I call this particular person a white woman, brown hair about this in a paisley print, thin dress on like vanilla color material and pastel paisley print, came to me in a dream. And she was in a black church, in the basement of a black church, beautiful wood and everything, and a fellowship of a black Christian church. And she went over to a telephone that was hung on the wall, and she started to dial the phone to call her loved ones. And she looked at me. She wants to get home, and she wanted me to know who she is so she could get home. Those kinds of experiences are what I'm saying. Police can do nothing with that kind of experience, but those are things that God gives to us if we will allow God to give to us. But sometimes in our religiosity, we limit those kinds of experiences because we think, we're not supposed to do that kind of stuff because that's not of God. We're Christians, we're not supposed to do that. Everything that God has given, he's given us tools to use. He wants to speak to us in different ways than we've been used to. And a lot of times we can't hear because we have blocked out God and God's ways of speaking. And sometimes they're not even not a vocal thing at all. God might knock on something and speak to us through knocking, through knocks. And that's the scripture that says, I was asleep, but my heart was awakened. It was the voice of my beloved knocking at the door. Have you heard the knocks? Have you heard those? But there's many ways of the loved ones want to communicate with us. because they want to come home. And we want to communicate with them because we need them to come back, and we need to have that closure. We need to be able to say, and we can speak to them. We don't have to wait for the police to do things for us. We can speak to them, ask them where they are. Ask them, go to sleep and allow yourself to dream, because they'll come in dreams too. God will give you dreams. God will give you visions. And that's, our words are so meaningful for us in this time, because in the last days, God will give us dreams and visions, scriptures say. And God doesn't want our loved ones missing. He wants to send them to us, you know. But if I could just share the scripture.
Yes.
Then I thought it was really interesting. The Lord just gave it to me a few minutes ago as I was listening to you all, to your stories. And I'm sorry, I got cataracts and glaucoma and all that stuff presently. And I glasses on and a magnifying glass and a little bitty print. And it's from King James Version of the Bible. And it's First Samuel chapter 18, verses 1 to 5. And it came to pass, when he had made an end of speaking unto Saul, and this is David, when he had made an end to speaking speaking unto Saul the prophet, not Saul, I think he was a king or something, I forgot, sorry, that the soul of Jonathan was knit with the soul of David, and their souls are knit with our souls. Those are missing loved ones, their souls are knit with ours. And Jonathan loved him as his own soul. And Saul took him that day and would let him go no more home to his father's house. Then Jonathan and David made a covenant, because he loved him as his own soul. And Jonathan stripped himself of the robe that was upon him and gave it to David, his garments, even to his sword and to his bow and to his girdle. And David went out whithersoever Saul sent him, and behaved himself wisely. And Saul set him over the men of war, and he was accepted in the sight of all the people, and also in the sight of Saul's servants. And our folks, a lot of times, they go out, and somebody went out, you all was listening to. Somebody went out, but they didn't go out and come back in again. Of course, those are loved ones. But it wasn't a mistaken kind of thing. They went out with somebody they knew.
I thank you so much for sharing everything that you have shared, and for making yourself available to God, and also for providing us with words of encouragement. So much has just filled me just based off of what your experience was, because I think about the people who are being trafficked. You know, how many young people or people in general have gone on a date and found themselves locked in a situation, and they feel like they can't get out. And people in those situations, if you're able to see this once this goes public, if it, you know, I'll just ask, is it okay for us to share this? Does anybody have any objections to us sharing this publicly? Okay, and
Okay with me.
Okay, and if you can, just go to the chat saying okay to share publicly or okay to share, and I'll probably email you afterwards just to get a second confirmation. But and if you don't know how to do that, you just hover down at the bottom, and in the chat box, click on the chat box and make your remarks okay to share, please share, or however you want to say that. But I just feel like people seeing this, so many people will be helped, because I'm thinking about the human traffic people who are runaways, or who just thought that they would be going one day, and now they've met someone similar to the person that you described in your story, Marjorie. And you know, I mean, I could look back and think about dates that I personally was on, and situations where I found myself in a situation like, okay, am I really going to have to fight my way out of this situation? Will I go home today? You know, and I think a lot of times people have to understand that just because we look like we have it together or just because we are present now doesn't mean that we had to be here. Because there were many occasions where maybe in our lives we found ourselves in a situation like that and didn't have to even be in existence. So I really appreciate that. If a person is being trafficked, they can text "Be Free" just in their phone. If they just text B as in boy, E as in Edward, F as in Frank, R as in Roxanne, E as in Edward, E as in Edward. Polaris has a connection where people can text that and be free. That, you know, they'll ping that phone and do whatever they do to provide support for those individuals. And if you need some support, emotional, psychological, mental, if you need some food, if you need whatever you need, just, you don't have to send it in the chat box, but if you choose to and you want to just privately send me a message, let me know what your needs are, and I'll be sure to send you links or phone numbers, or maybe even provide the support myself if I'm able to do so. But it's very important for us to support each other. As you could tell, these are emotional conversations. I'm just blessed to be part of them and to try to use my gifts and talents to take this to another level, to hopefully obtain justice for all of us. God has moved me to a position where it's a pretty influential position, where some of the people that I used to kind of reach my hand up to see back in the day, I'm on that level where I'm communicating with them on a daily basis. So I'm able to bring a perspective, the perspective that, you know, the information in the situations that we find ourselves in, to that level. You know, people back in the day weren't listening to me all the time when I had something to say, but a lot of people are listening now, which means that there is hope for all of us. And so I guess what I would like to do at this point in time is to find out what you all have done to live in spite of your circumstances. You know, maybe you prayed, maybe you had to eat right, sleep right, think right, hang around the right people, but what have you found to be helpful in helping you to navigate as a family member with a missing loved one? Sheila, you mind sharing?
It's been very hard, you know, because I never been in a position like this where I, you know, had a family member to be missing, especially this long, you know. Um, it was very, very devastated to everyone at the beginning because I thought I was living in a dream. I just knew this wasn't happening, you know, to not to my family. You know, I see it on TV, but when it's actual you going through this, is I see, you know, people don't understand how when it's happening to you and then it happened to them, they see the difference, you know what I'm saying? So I tell anyone, you don't understand how I feel, especially when I'm the frontline person that's doing the most, that's definitely is trying to find him. And like I said, it's very hurtful because sometimes I don't sleep thinking about this because sometimes it seems like God wakes me up to, you know, and then I just instantly start praying and I put it in his hands, you know, because I do not feel that my brother is deceased. I feel that someone is holding him captures against his own will. And it's just, you know, hard daily, you know. I just try to take a day at a time.
Thank you so much for sharing. Marquisha, can you share?
Okay. The only way I'm able to really maintain and stay focused is my family. I gotta stay strong for my mom, my sister. I have 3 children. My oldest daughter, my sister knew about. I told her when I was pregnant. I was 20 years old. And my daughter really reminds me of my sister. It helps me stay focused and just to cope with it every day on a daily basis. Still, even after 11 years.
Thank you. Lynn, what do you do to cope? What helps you get through this?
I make music. I mean, I have to be honest, like like I said earlier, it took me a while to really start understanding, and still to this moment, I think God has helped me in my method of coping, my fight or flight method of coping has helped me a lot because I haven't really had to deal with a lot of the emotional backlash of what's happened because I've been, I don't think I've really been present. I think that that's how it's affected me. I think that a lot of things, a lot of the time I'm just like coasting through life and I'm not really, then a memory will hit me and I'm like completely overwhelmed with emotion. It's happened all throughout my life. So I think that I don't think I can put all the credit to making music and to being an artistic person, acting or whatever, because I think that the majority of it has been just me not really being completely here and dealing with it emotionally. So I think I'm still figuring that out. And I think that now as I'm coming out with my music more and trying to actively put things in a song so that I can express myself and how this has affected me. Yeah.
Okay. The last part I couldn't really catch. I don't know if it froze up on everyone else's side, but that last sentence that you were saying, if you can just restate that part again, and then if you can also go a little bit further on that point of not being present. What could you explain what that is? And
Can you
what?
hear me?
Yes.
Well, yeah, by not being present, I just mean I haven't really been emotionally and mentally here throughout a lot of my life. It's taken me a long time to learn a lot of things, just normal basic things that, most people know. I've always, been in other categories. Like I've always gotten A's and B's in school, if not straight A's and things like that. So it's weird that it was even weird for me to notice that I was not here and that I was, socially affected in that way and emotionally and mentally affected in that way. But it's crazy. It's kind of like memory. Someone with Alzheimer's or dementia might know, something all of us, and might be good. Or like Asperger's, like, some people with Asperger's have like amazing genius in certain categories. And then in other categories, it's like, how could you be that smart in this category if you don't, if this isn't clicking as easily? But that's how it is with me. I don't have Asperger's, but like, I think that me not socially being present and mentally being present because it has, been a coping mechanism for me to kind of retreat from reality. And I didn't even know it. So like, I guess when I was going through abuse, when I was a child and, being beaten for hours and, all kinds of things, I think that it was a way that I dealt with that is by not mentally and emotionally being here. So I think that that has kind of followed me throughout life. So like, even in conversations, I've noticed myself just going with the flow, and then I have to jump into my body and say, wait, I'm in this conversation, I'm like, I have better responses that I could give that I do give when I realize that I'm, a little absent from that conversation.
Thank you so much for sharing.
And it's crazy. So that's what I mean.
Thank you. And for the record, I wasn't the one doing the beating or anything. I just want to make sure you want,
We know that.
Most people know that, but because this is live. Sometimes you just don't know what's going to come out. But
Right.
it was not I. I'm just saying, my baby live over there, and it's not out of fear. They choose to live with me, and I love it. investments. Anyone, did I know, Florence, do you want to share? You know, what you're doing to
I
cope,
would. What was the last part, Theta?
what you're doing to cope, if you want to share,
Oh,
and
okay.
follow up with our Marjorie sharing what she's doing to cope.
What I do is try to be supportive and try to be available. And I would like to be more supportive and more available. And as a person trying to cope and support a family member who's going through it, to just try to remember to put yourself in that person's situation, which for me is very scary. You know, it's like walking down the hallway that's dark and you want to peek, but to actually walk down that hallway is really a scary place mentally, to actually try to put yourself in that person's shoes. If that was my child, it's such a scary place to go, you know. But just trying to be supportive and praying, you know, and try to be available and remember, you know, to be hopeful. Remember to try to laugh in spite of, you know, you have good days and you have bad days. Like in the Philippians, you learn to be content,
Yes.
whatever your circumstances, you know, and God giving you grace on just to get through this day, and not, and then tomorrow you have grace to get through that day. And I would take being able to, everybody goes through something, but being able to step outside of your personal life or problems or what you're going through and be available to help you, you know, and be more available to help others, you know, that are going through. I think then we all help ourselves by helping other people. Just, um, I would say that's what helps me to cope, to try to help you to cope by being supportive and being available, and then being exposed to other people, other mothers and, you know, fathers, other families that are in similar situations, because you kind of just focus on, well, this happened to my cousin, you know, and man, she was really strong, because I think I would be mentally checked out and not even be able to function, you know, if that were me. So when I think about little stuff that I go through, like, man, Theta went through this and she going through it and she's doing all of this stuff, you know, my stuff is nothing. She's strong, you know. So just being supportive and being able to realize that there's other people who, or who's in this situation, not, okay, this is my cousin that I know about, and then by being around her, being able to see other people who are also going through the same, you know, that, man, it's a lot of people, like you said, so many missing people. So that means that there's so many other families that are going through the same thing, you know, that you are going through, and still, you know, being able to live and function and get up and eat every day and go to work and, you know, do all of that stuff in spite of, you know.
Thank you so much. And Aunt Marjorie stepped away for a moment, but I'm sure she's coming back. Okay, if you could share what you do to cope, and I do want to just thank you all, because just being part of this call and this conversation and laying a foundation for maybe even other organizations, maybe they haven't thought to do what we're doing right here, or maybe it hasn't had the impact, but hopefully it will, and we can achieve our goals and get some resolutions. But Marjorie, could you just share what you do to cope?
Okay. Well, I am a musician too, and I've done a lot of professional work as a singer. And I'm also an artist, and I've done several art exhibits. And what I've learned, and also an actress and all that kind of stuff, that creative process, I allow it to put me, I use it to do other things too. It's like drawing a picture, and then and you know, if you're drawing a picture, there is something you're going to draw. And I found that the image is already there. I just have to bring it from where it is to the paper, to something that is solid, tangible, and because it comes from a creative place, which is the world of spirit. And so the arts, and they're like, they first happen there, and then we pull them here into this realm. So I use those. I wait, and I wait expectantly, because everything has to be in its proper time, as the scriptures say. Let everything be done in its proper time. It's time for singing, a time for sorrow, a time for dancing, a time to refrain from sorrow, and those kind of things. And I know that there will be a time when Christian will come, because he doesn't want to be where he's at, and by himself, without Theta, and with his loved ones knowing where he is and what has happened to him. He will speak, and also other people who are missing. Inez will speak. The woman, the white woman in the black church, she will speak to her loved ones, or she'll speak to me again. But I got to be ready. I got to be expectant. I got to be waiting, and I got to listen. And I got to know they're going to speak. First, I got to know. I got to know that about those possibilities within the gift of prophecy that God has given to the church, and not feel guilty for using them.
Thank you so much.
Right.
Paula, could you share what you're doing to cope? What you found helpful?
Oh, I've been thinking about this question ever since you said it.
That's why I made you last. No, I didn't try to, but I wasn't leaving you out.
But it had me thinking, going back to who I was before my daughter went missing. I had faith. You know, I was going to class every Saturday. I was reading the Bible. I was studying. I was teaching her who she was, telling her you were Israelite, the child of God. She had started talking to me about it, questioning me about it. That's who I was. I had faith, and I believed in God. I believed in Jesus Christ. When my daughter went missing, that was my challenge. And I feel like I failed because I let that depression take over me. And I feel like I didn't do what I should have done. So I had to regain my faith back. I had to think about who I was, why he still kept me here, why he put me in this position. And after years, just I feel like closed room in my house, and I was just in a closed, dark place. And I never will forget when I seen you on the news that day. But never, ever forget it. And you was having that bike ride, and I came out there before you, posted up with my family. And I feel like I finally could talk to someone who understood, who would listen, who could say, I understand what you're going through. they did it for me. I always talk about you. it, it was just the connection, and it was like, okay, I have to get it together. I have to get this together. I believe, and I have to show I believe. And it's still so hard sometimes to get up in the morning. But I started telling my story, and I started getting interviews. I was on the Good Morning America. I did several podcasts. It did come to a point I felt like I could just say the story, and sometimes people think I wasn't emotional about it because it was a story I just wanted to get out. I needed to get my daughter's story out because years and years I let it stay in. It's time to get my daughter's story out. So, interviews, I'm saying it. Some interviews I'm emotional, some I'm not. But I finally got out there.
That's right.
I finally got out there. And I feel like my strength is coming back. I feel like my faith, I never lost. I just got weak. And just starting to do other things. I started cleaning business, and I recently just started back trying to live at the same time, deal and cope with my situation. So God, God, believe it. Have faith. Showing him you believe in him, things will happen. And I believe that I'm going to find out what happened to my child. I don't care how everybody don't want to talk about it or they don't want to speak. I'm going to find out. It's going to happen. I already know. I know it's going to happen. So I deal with this by keeping my faith in God.
Thank you so much for sharing, and please continue to be encouraged. I'm glad that you're a board member of Looking for an Angel, and I'm glad to see you on Good Morning America because I haven't been on there. But
It's coming.
but it's just amazing though because I think I shared after Regina's situation that I just was calling Paula a pillar of peace, because she was always just so humble and quiet and beautiful and had so much to say, but to see her saying it, that is just like so therapeutic for me because I remember when I think you came to my school for an event and the news wanted to speak to me. And I was like trying to bring her up, like, okay, but what about her? And that's one thing that I really want to do, shine light on situations outside of mine or use my blessing to bless others, so that we can all be blessed together. Before I say anything further, Sheila, did I ask you about what you're doing to cope or what you find helpful?
Yep, you already did.
Okay, I thought I did, but I just didn't want to lose. I was like, please, I can't mess up that. This is live. But
Yeah, I said that I went to God for mine.
that's right. Thank you so much. And I did want to also mention, since the arts are so important for me, like one thing that I do, I sing with people who are musicians, background, front ground, or I'm the lead vocalist. I make jewelry. I try to come up with different things to do. I use my arts and talents to create the flyers that we distribute in the community. I'm always just thinking, get in the booth so that we can promote our causes. there's no telling what I'll do, but it's all getting back to therapy to help me so that I can help others. And I really do appreciate everything that's been said through or during this support session. Looking for an Angel is a nonprofit 501c3 organization that increases awareness of missing persons. I do want to share that Dick Gregory, I think Marjorie, you were saying something about dreams, and it reminded me of a dream that Dick Gregory said. He called me after Christian's disappearance, and I didn't really know him. I knew his history. I knew he was famous and everything, and that really helped me because I'm like, little me, and he's contacting me. You know, I'm still like, I'll never forget him contacting me, and he told me what I needed to do and what to put under my bed, and he was praying that something would come to me, you know, and help me to get a resolution in my situation. And you know, we're still trying to wait for everything to come out, but just knowing that someone on that level could reach down to little old me. You know, I know we're all important and we're all ordinary people. That's a song that my Aunt Marjorie, I heard you sing that when I was a kid, when I came to visit you in Colorado. And I will never forget that song because of that. But just being able to find the blessings in life, that has been totally essential for my existence. I wanted to die by any means necessary, and to just see how I'm surviving today, living in spite of my circumstances and trying to encourage other people to live in spite of their circumstances. That's just more therapy for me. And I'm just grateful. I'm totally grateful. And I know we're winding down and everything. So I do want to make sure that everybody is heard, because so if we can go around, I'll start with you, Aunt Marjorie. If there's some last remarks, we have about 2 minutes to make sure that we are not chopped off.
I'm sorry. Right. I wanted to know what Dick Gregory dreamed for one, but you could tell me later.
Okay.
And about that dream. And I encourage us all to dream.
Yes.
And dream big, because God speaks to us that way, and so do missing people. We need to allow them to speak.
Thank
we
you.
have to. They will talk to us.
Thank
and
you.
ask them where they are.
Florence,
Come to show us.
I just think about the scripture that James 5:13, when in trouble, pray, when happy, pray, you know, not to make it, you know, religious or anything, but that's something that I think about, praying on your good days and your bad days to just try to get through to the next day.
Thank you. That's awesome. Lynn, you want to share?
Just that, I don't know. I did a survey for police reform the other day, and my mom sent me, you sent me, and this made me think about there being, you know, one of the questions they asked was what departments or what areas of expertise do you think the police need help with handling, and should someone else possibly be handling? I think missing persons needs its own force. I think it needs its own unit with task forces and things like that. I think we need to start signing petitions for things like that, and you know, bringing that to the board meetings of the city and things like that. Because they don't. I mean, they clearly aren't using either aren't using enough resources or don't have them. So.
Thank you very much, Marquisha.
I just want to thank you for letting me have this opportunity to vent and get a couple things off my mind. And thank everyone who have participated. And that's it.
Thank you. Sheila?
I'd like to thank you for allowing me to be a voice, you know, because, you know, it's not too many people that we can talk to about this situation if you haven't really went through it, you know. But I'd like to thank you again for giving me the opportunity to tell my story about my brother. And I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep fighting until I don't have a breath. And I let God lead me into finding him.
Thank you. And Paula, we have probably 30 seconds or less.
I just want to say, everyone, be encouraged. Continue doing what you're doing with your missing loved ones and being supporters. Thank you, and be blessed.
Until next time, thank you, everyone.
Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you.